Okay guys, so this is my fourth attempt for this video because I keep accidentally saying my kid's name. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to say her name in a video. I want her to feel like that her identity was protected until she's ready to be a part of this. So I must not be speaking about the right thing. I wanted to say one thing that God spoke to me about when I was at church on Sunday. I already posted, a post about it, is that this is not the end of the road for us. That when you walk through something, when you live through something, then you gain authority in that something, and you get to help deliver people from whatever it is that you struggled or walked through or lived with. And I feel like that's what God's saying to us. He's saying that my daughter and I are going to be able to minister together. We're going to be able to talk about this together. We're going to be able to, pray for people and love on people and tell them that we understand because we've been there. And we're not there now. We're not at the situation where we can speak together. We can speak to people together now, but we're going to be. And I think that that's awesome. And I just ask that you guys just pray that, that revelation takes place sooner rather than later in her brain, and she realizes that mom and stepdad are not the enemy here, and that we love her, and we're in a good place now. We saw her yesterday and spoke to her for a few minutes the day before on the phone, and things weren't a disaster, so that's good. But I was gonna hop on here and talk to you guys, not necessarily about that, but just about the fact that when my daughter was younger, I feel like there's some things that I didn't pick up on that I could have had regarding her emotional response to things. And I was just explaining in my last 3 videos that I had to freaking delete that, when something would happen, my daughter would respond in such a way that it probably should have raised a red flag, and I probably should have said something here is not normal, but I didn't, because I was, she's my oldest, which means that she's the one that I very first walked through any of this with. And those things weren't so dramatic that, it was like, oh crap, what's happening? But it was like, that was weird. I wonder if anybody else has ever had to deal with their kid doing that. And most of the time the answer was no. No, my kid's never done that. So the first thing that I can think of was when she was younger, from the age of 5 to about 10, if she would think that I was dating somebody, if I had a guy friend come over and watch a movie, or if I was dating somebody, she would have this reaction where she would scream at the top of her lungs until she was just so physically exhausted she couldn't scream anymore. And I would kind of make a joke out of it at first, like, oh, my kid's just trying to scare you away. When I very first started dating my husband, I told him, like, yeah, that'll probably happen. She'll probably try to scare you away. But it didn't click in my brain, like, it's not really a normal response, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't so far-fetched that I needed to, like, scoop her up and rush her to the hospital and be like, help me, what's wrong with my kids? She screams so much. It was one of those things where I needed to be more aware, like, the other kids don't do this, you know what I mean? When I'm talking to my friends, their kids don't do this, so this might be something that I need to figure out why she's doing this. And then the very first time that she snuck out of the house, she was 10, and it's because she had a friend stay the night. We didn't really prefer the friend in the way that she acted. She did some inappropriate dancing and kind of twerking when we were all going out for a walk together. And so the following day we talked to my daughter about, probably not having that girl stay the night again because we didn't really like the influence. And then that day, the day after the girl spent the night, like, my kid snuck out. And she's 10 at this age, 10. My daughter snuck out the first time at 10, at the age of 10. And we realized that she was gone. Went looking for her. We found her outside of the friend's house that we had told her we didn't really want her to be around. Not necessarily be around, but we just didn't want to invite her back over to our house. And I asked her to get in the car, and she started screaming at me and saying she wasn't gonna, and that we were abusing her and stuff. So once that we had gotten her home, we asked her, like, what are you talking about? And she was saying, like, oh, the friend had noticed that we'd asked her to do a chore, and the friend had convinced her that that was abuse because she shouldn't have to do chores. I'm assuming the friend had zero responsibility at home and didn't have to do anything. And but looking back now, like, you know, I've raising 4 kids of my own, and then I have 5 stepchildren. It just wasn't a normal response. So when I say a normal response, like, no, your kid is not going to respond to every situation the way that you want them to or the way that you expect them to. But the amount of emotion behind that, like the way that she responded to that, clearly showed me, the younger me, the not as smart me, that she wasn't processing feelings the way that she maybe needed to be. She wasn't coping with situations, you know, the way that she needed to be. So anyway, short video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would go into more detail, but I keep accidentally saying her name, so I'm not going to do it. I just encourage you guys to look, you know, as your kids are responding to things. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. You know what I mean? If it feels like you're talking to your friends, you're comparing to your other siblings, it's just not sitting well in your stomach, it doesn't. And it doesn't have to look normal to somebody else for you to question it. You know what I mean? So like if your friend is like, that's not that big of a deal, but you're like, oh, this is my kid, it doesn't feel right, then go with what you're feeling, because it is your kid. And like, you know, I think to myself, like, if I paid more attention to this, if I noticed that this was a little more out of the ordinary than I thought earlier, you know, we'd be somewhere different. I don't know. So anyway, look forward to sharing more stories. I'm going to try to get better about not saying her name or sharing any identifying information until she's ready to do this thing with me. So God bless, guys. Thanks. Bye.